So, in the last video, I told you a little bit about how I got my first apartment after college. We kept it pretty short, it was about 4 minutes, but essentially it ended with me living in a cool beachfront apartment in Saigon in Hong Kong with a Chinese medicine student and a bank IT guy, and I lived there for 3 months or 4, and it was awesome. He was like really into Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Work Week, and we got along super well, and I was just like a bus ride away from my favorite breakfast place in town and the beach. I loved it. But I really wanted the like downtown Hong Kong experience. And so around September, October, I started feeling like, well, I'm either going to get a job downtown or I'm going to fly home sometime in the next 3 months. I should look at moving. Because I really want to live downtown before I leave, like downtown Hong Kong. And I knew that was going to be kind of an expensive proposition, but I had some money saved up. And I was like, well, you know, it's now or never, so let's do it. The hardest part about this is that when I found my beachfront apartment, I used like a Craigslist equivalent that was for expats. So people who were not from Hong Kong who spoke English all listed their apartments there, and it was really easy to find something. And that didn't work for downtown Hong Kong. So I ended up having to find a realtor's office, and I talked at probably half a dozen by just walking into their offices in parts of town where I wanted to live and I thought I could afford. And most of them did not speak English, even though a lot of people in Hong Kong do speak English, not well enough to rent me an apartment or to understand my specific needs. So I found someone finally who speaks English. His daughter goes to school in London. He's a really nice guy. I think his name was John, I don't remember. Or his English name was John at least. And he was like, well, okay, you have this weird circumstance, but I think I can help you. I had explained to him that I needed an apartment, but I didn't want to sign a lease because I didn't know how much longer I'd be in Hong Kong. And I also didn't know if I'd be in that location. If I got a job somewhere else, I'd probably move pretty quick. So I was looking at that point at teaching English in other parts of the city. And so I told him that I needed this lease-free apartment downtown and I needed it to be less than $1,000 a month. And he was like, well, with those constraints, you're going to live whatever we can find. You're going to live in whatever we can find. So he walked me through a couple different apartments. One of them was like near the roof of a building and was like had a ton of water damage, but was also kind of like, you picture Ernest Hemingway living there. He was like, yeah, a writer used to live here. And I was like, oh, okay, that's and there it was just like incredible. You can kind of picture like this worn down, like slanted roof apartment on the top of a really tall building. It was just wild. And I probably would have gone with that, except that there was a whole lot of like construction going on nearby. And so we toured a couple places like that are like in various states of disrepair and also incredibly small. Hong Kong has one of the like densest living conditions in the entire world. So there's one neighborhood in Hong Kong called Mongkok where 430,000 people live in a square kilometer. It's amazing. And this is 2 blocks away from that. So obviously all the apartments are going to be tiny. Some people live in just like closet-sized spaces. I managed to find a place with like a king-size bed in it, but then some space around the king-size bed to walk around, which is pretty luxurious, and a bathroom and a refrigerator, and that was it. And it was, I think, $700 for a month, and so I paid a couple of months' rent to cover the like security deposit. And I lived there, and I think I ended up living there for a month or 2, but literally right downtown, like under the shadow of the ICC, which is the tallest tower in Hong Kong. I could walk to a grocery store underneath the ICC, and that's where I did my shopping, mostly fruit because I only had a refrigerator. And it was a really, really interesting time in life. Being downtown and like 5 seconds away from everything was phenomenal. I could have used maybe a little more space in the kitchen, though. Would have been great. Maybe a couch. God, a couch would have been nice. But yeah, that was how I found my second apartment in downtown Hong Kong, and I made a point to go out every weekend from then on and like really have a great time in downtown Hong Kong, and I'm so glad I did it. It was one of the coolest experiences of being in Hong Kong, was living downtown. I hope you enjoyed that story. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video.